somewhere beyond the static noise of modern life. Beyond the clamor of timelines, opinions, and endless distractions, a rhythm pulses, not in sound, but in essence. Not in time, but in eternity. A rhythm older than any religion, any science, any language. A dance of opposites. A cosmic inhale and exhale. A sacred tension. A magnetic embrace. You may have seen it in ancient scrolls or felt it in dreams that left no words behind. It is the pulse of yin and yang, and it is calling you back into balance. But today, we are not merely here to discuss duality. We are here to remember something more forgotten, something that has gone dormant in many of us. We are here to awaken the divine masculine, not the distorted, hardened version that has ruled empires or silenced the feminine, but the sacred masculine, the cosmic protector, the architect of presence, the sword of clarity, and the fire of purpose. This is not a call to war, it is a call to presence, a return to the original blueprint encoded into your soul. Whether you identify as man, woman, or neither, the divine masculine lives within you as potential, as frequency, as unclaimed gold waiting to rise. And the world is starving for its return. For too long, the sacred masculine has been misrepresented, glorified in conquest, confused with domination, distorted into suppression. But beneath the rubble of history lies a luminous template, the masculine as initiator of light, guardian of truth, and vessel of divine action. Without it, the sacred feminine spins without containment. Without her, the masculine becomes a hollow structure. Together, they create life, movement, healing, creation itself. This cosmic dance is not philosophy, it's physics, it's tantra. It's the movement of galaxies and the coiling of DNA. It's the breath you just took and the heartbeat that follows. In every inhale is the yang. In every exhale, the yin. One rises, one receives. One penetrates, one holds, and the moment we deny either, we collapse the very structure of wholeness we were meant to embody. This message is not here to flatter the ego, it's here to awaken the soul. And if you felt a quiet ache inside like something ancient is trying to emerge, then you are in the right place. Because the divine masculine is not a performance, it is a return, a remembering, and today, that remembrance begins. If this message already whispers something sacred within you, pause with me. Like this video, subscribe, share your reflections below. Let the algorithm become an altar, because every word you leave here echoes into someone else's awakening. At the heart of all things lies a sacred polarity, not of conflict, but of creative tension. Yin and Yang, the lunar and the solar, the spiral and the spear. This duality is not opposition, but complement. It is the language of life, encoded not just in Taoist philosophy, but in the architecture of atoms, the orbits of planets, and the subtle geometry of the soul. To awaken the divine masculine within is to understand the nature of Yang not as aggression, but as directed intention, as active consciousness, as the divine spark that pierces the void to give it form. The divine masculine is structure, not confinement. It is will, not control. It is presence, not domination. And just as the feminine is the womb of becoming, the masculine is the pillar of being. In this sacred interplay, the divine masculine provides the container through which the divine feminine can express, flow, create, and transform. Without the container, the water spills. Without the water, the vessel is dry. The imbalance we see in the world, the wounds of patriarchal systems, or the passivity born from spiritual bypassing, is not the presence of the true masculine, but the absence of the sacred one. You see, in ancient spiritual systems, the masculine was the initiator, the one who walked the fire path not for domination, but for protection and clarity. In Egyptian temples, he stood as the guardian of Ma'at, cosmic order. In Vedic traditions, he was Shiva, stillness, awareness, the mountain unmoved by storms. In Kabbalistic mysticism, he was the right pillar of the tree of life, force, action, illumination. But when this energy becomes severed from its divine source, when masculinity forgets its sacredness, it mutates into toxic forms: control, violence, suppression, avoidance. Likewise, when the feminine is left without anchoring presence, she too can spiral into chaos, emotional overwhelm, or martyrdom. This is not about gender. This is energetic truth. The rise of the divine masculine within you begins when you stop outsourcing your strength and instead listen to the voice that says, "Stand firm, be clear, hold the line, speak the truth, protect the sacred." This voice may not be loud, but it is steady, and it has been waiting. The masculine does not just act, it discerns before action. It listens into silence, then moves. The sacred masculine builds temples from vision. It does not rush, it anchors, it commits. It shows up again and again, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, because it knows the path of mastery is not performance, it is presence. And yet, this is not some stoic, emotionless archetype. The awakened masculine feels deeply but remains rooted in response, not reaction. He does not run from pain, he transfigures it. He doesn't dominate the feminine, he adores her as the very current of life. In her expression, he finds purpose. In his stillness, she finds safety. This is the cosmic dance, the inhale meeting the exhale, the sun bowing to the moon, not as superior or subordinate, but as sacred reflections, forever entwined. And perhaps that's why you're here, because something in you knows it's time to come into right relationship with this force, not as a role, not as a mask, but as a sacred frequency your soul agreed to carry. If this message stirs something ancient in your soul, subscribe, because the next part of this series goes even deeper. In every myth, in every sacred text, in every civilization that stood in harmony with the cosmos, the divine masculine walked beside the Great Mother, not above, not below, but beside. And where they walked together, civilizations flourished, temples stood, and wisdom echoed across the ages. In ancient Egypt, Osiris was not simply a god, he was a symbol of the masculine force that brings order to chaos, the king who dies and is resurrected through the love of Isis. His dismemberment was not just tragedy, it was allegory. The masculine has been torn apart by time, misused by empire, buried beneath centuries of war and false power. But like Osiris, it can rise again not through domination, but through inner resurrection. In Taoist cosmology, Yin and Yang are not just aesthetic curves within a circle, they are the blueprint of existence. The black and white, each with a dot of the other inside, because the divine masculine always contains a seed of the feminine, just as the divine feminine carries the spark of the masculine. They are never whole apart. Their dance is the alchemy of reality. Even in silence, they move. Consider the sword and the chalice. The sword sharp, clear, piercing the masculine principle. The chalice open, receptive, holding the feminine. In ancient rites, the sword was never meant to wound, but to bless. It was laid upon shoulders in initiation, pointed to the sky in reverence. The chalice was not weakness, it was sacred vessel. And when the sword enters the chalice in the sacred marriage, a third is born, transformation. Across traditions, the divine masculine appears not only as protector and warrior, but as teacher, builder, way-shower. He is the one who lights the torch in the cave, who descends into the darkness not to conquer it, but to understand it. In Arthurian legend, he is Merlin wisdom clothed in wildness. In alchemical tradition, he is sulfur fire, ignition, masculine spirit. In ancient Vedic tales, he is Rama upholding Dharma, choosing duty not from ego but from love. But perhaps the most profound symbol of all lies in your own breath. The inhale bold, structured, expansive, the masculine. The exhale soft, dissolving, surrendering, the feminine. The fact that life continues only through both, that the universe weaves itself through opposites, is not coincidence, it is design. And so, to awaken the divine masculine within is not to wear a new identity. It is to remember the part of you that knows how to hold space, even when chaos rises. The part of you that knows how to speak truth, even when your voice trembles. The part of you that can walk through fire not for glory, but because the village behind you must be protected. The part of you that can love without needing to control, that can stand still while the storm howls. This remembrance is not just symbolic, it is cellular, it is genetic, it is encoded in your bones, and when you awaken it, the universe rearranges itself to meet you. Because the world is starving for wholeness, and the sacred masculine is part of the medicine. If this message stirs something ancient in your soul, subscribe, because what comes next reveals even more. The divine masculine is not just something you awaken during meditation or invoke during ceremony. It is something you embody moment by moment, breath by breath, decision by decision. It lives in how you rise from your bed in the morning, in how you speak your truth without aggression, in how you witness the pain of others without shrinking or rescuing, in how you hold steady when everything around you trembles. To live from the awakened masculine is to walk as a bridge between spirit and structure. It is to honor the unseen while taking aligned action in the seen. The world does not need more talkers of light. It needs builders of temples, temples of clarity, of commitment, of consciousness, and that begins within you. In your relationships, the divine masculine shows up as presence, not passive presence, but active stillness. A full attention that does not seek to fix, but to witness, to provide safety, not solutions. Imagine what would happen if more people in this world simply listened from this depth. Wars would dissolve in silence. Wounds would begin to close without force. In your work, the divine masculine becomes discipline, not grind culture, not burnout, but the sacred commitment to show up for what you're building. It is the fire in your belly that says, I will forge something beautiful from this chaos. It is the architect who sees the blueprint beyond the rubble. In your spiritual path, the masculine brings clarity to the clouded. It cuts through illusion, not with judgment, but with discernment. It says, not all that glows is gold. Not all that feels good is true. Not all who speak loudly are wise. The awakened masculine trusts the long path, the slow burn of true mastery. It does not seek enlightenment as escape, but as responsibility. And in your body, the sacred masculine invites posture, a spine aligned, breath deep, eyes open. It asks, can you remain centered when the storm comes? Can you hold your ground without closing your heart? Can you become the mountain still but not stagnant, vast but not disconnected? This path is not about perfection. It is about presence. There will be moments where you fall into the wounded masculine, the one who shuts down, lashes out, disappears. But each fall is an invitation, not to shame but to return. And with every return, the pattern rewires. The soul remembers. The vessel strengthens. And remember, this energy is not gendered. Women, too, must awaken their inner masculine, to say no with love, to hold themselves when no one else can, to act from sovereignty, not survival. Likewise, the masculine in men must bow to the wisdom of the feminine within, the intuitive, the feeling, the fluid, not as weakness, but as divine counsel. In a world designed to scatter your attention, the awakened masculine gathers it back. It says, simplify, focus, choose, build, protect, speak, be still, move with meaning. This is sacred structure. This is holy fire. And it is your birthright to live from it. You may feel the stirrings already in your spine, in your chest, in your voice. You may feel the moments in your life calling for this energy, the difficult conversations, the boundaries not drawn, the vision waiting to be claimed. This is the time to answer. Because every time you embody the sacred masculine, even in the smallest way, by standing tall, by telling the truth, by staying when it's easier to run, you shift the field. You anchor something ancient. You become part of the rebalancing of the world. And that is no small thing. You were never meant to forget this. Not this rhythm, not this presence, not this sacred flame you carry within. The divine masculine is not something you must earn. It is not an external role to perform or a persona to adopt. It is a frequency, a remembrance, a soul positioning, where you become the stable axis around which your universe can spin without collapsing. And from this place, you do not control the chaos. You contain it. You hold space for transmutation. To awaken the divine masculine is not to overpower the feminine. It is to rise in devotion to her. It is to create the temple she dances within, to honor her movement without needing to interrupt it. The cosmic dance is not about dominance, it is about harmony, sacred polarity, the interplay that births stars and civilizations, music and meaning. You were never meant to deny one and favor the other. That was the illusion that you had to choose between softness and strength, between power and peace. But now, as you remember, you are reclaiming both. The protector and the priest, the sword and the heart, the fire and the silence. And the world needs you in this balance. Right now, we live in an era of unraveling, of old systems collapsing, of archetypes being questioned, of truths long buried rising to the surface. In this threshold, the wounded masculine fights to maintain control, while the disembodied feminine drifts, waiting for presence to return. But the call is not to pick a side, it is to become the vessel where both energies can meet in wholeness, within you. Because when you awaken the divine masculine, you become anchored clarity in a sea of confusion. You become a living transmission of stability, integrity, action born of truth. And from that place, you don't need to convince. Your presence speaks louder than words. Your energy shifts rooms. Your decisions ripple through timelines. So what now? Now you walk differently. Not with heaviness, but with purpose. Not with ego, but with essence. You do not need to fix the world, but you will hold your part of it with reverence. You will take the sacred responsibility of your energy, your choices, your voice, and you will keep returning, again and again, to that place inside you that knows, I am here to stand, to build, to protect, to love with strength, and move with vision. And even when you forget, you will remember again. The journey has no final destination, only deeper layers of embodiment, deeper levels of truth. Each day a new initiation, each breath another step into presence. And so, if you feel it, that ancient stirring in your spine, that clarity emerging from your center, trust it, follow it, let it remake you. The forgotten light in you is remembering. Don't turn away now. If this message spoke to you, if it touched something wordless inside you, I invite you to share your reflections in the comments. You never know who you might awaken by simply speaking your truth. Like this video if it served you. Subscribe to Ascended Alchemist for more soul-igniting transmissions. And if you know someone walking this path, share this with them. Because this is not a solo journey. This is a sacred rebalancing, a collective remembering. The divine masculine is rising not to rule, but to restore. And your embodiment is part of that cosmic return.